Welcome to Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the match preview for Norwich versus Everton coming up on Saturday. First 3 o'clock kickoff we've had for quite a while. I think this is going to be, feels like a long time since we've been able to say Saturday at 3 o'clock. I'm joined by Connor. We're going into this game. Obviously, we're only 1 win in 12 in the Premier League. You'd say the ideal opposition, but it really isn't, is it, Connor?
No, it's weird because I swear people were saying it's a must win the last time we played them, and now the reverse fixture we're still saying it's a very much a must win for the team, which makes me even more worried is then that it won't be an easy one because the pressure's on now, and I think we perform awfully when the pressure's on, but yeah, I mean Norwich. Their form, I think their form's worse than ours. I can't remember last. They're really, really poor. But yeah, it's purely on our own. I'd say the only reason I'm worried is because it's ours to lose, and that's a lot of pressure. And I do think they've improved slightly since Dean Smith's come in, ever so slightly. Or like literally just it's a mere slightly than Fark, but not. They shouldn't be beating us. It's the coming down to it. We shouldn't get beat by someone like Norwich.
I said this about Brighton, though, and they've done us comfortably.
Yeah, that's the only worry, isn't it? You say
this about Brentford, they've done us comfortably.
That's the only worry for me. Like we say this, and then it's like, okay, it's almost a kiss of death, isn't it? But yeah, I mean I don't want to say it because it's going to tempt fate, but we should be seeing these off, really.
Yeah, but it's one of those. We just got to see what happens. Obviously, we just mentioned Anwar El Ghazi's come in, Luca Dean's gone, so few changes, extra personnel. Maybe Nathan Patterson might make his debut. We don't know. So a few different players to toy with, but. And there's been a lot of talk today, of course, as well about Doucouré saying he's all right in a 2 after saying he preferred playing in a 3. So, with that in mind, what system do you see us setting up with? Is he going to stick with the 2, do you think, Benitez, or will he finally see sense and go with the 3?
I think he's going to stick with a 2. There's no way you do a new interview with Doucouré saying that a 2's fine to then go play it for it. Like if he does, it'll just be Martin games with everyone, but. I think if you're going to make the effort to get a player to redo an interview, you're going to probably stick with it. And I think I watched the Space the other day on Twitter, and Carragher was saying, he does like this formation, the 4-2-3-1, the 4-4-1-1, and he was like, he doesn't change from it. He did it at Valencia and had a bit of success and won't move away from it and stuff like that. So I can't see him changing. I can't see him changing at all.
Sorry, in case you're wondering why I'm like creating, I've just literally seen on Twitter someone's put just people like responding to the Luca Dean transfer, and I'm just like, Everton fans, even in the worst elements of adversity, can just find funny content just to keep you laughing your head off and just. But honestly, yeah, pardon me, I'm just like. I just want a rare thing to do with Everton's cheered me up, and I couldn't help but laugh. But yeah, I can't see him changing it myself, to be honest, in terms of Norwich. I think he'll want to obviously set up to, I think, Will, if he has any sense, will set up to him. But he's been playing 5 at the back lately, and that needs to change too, doesn't it?
Yeah, the 5 against Hull was really strange. I don't know if he thinks because he packs, one more in the middle, in the centre back spot, that counts. But we still are allowed to be overrun in midfield doing that. I also, for whatever reason, the 5 at the back never seems to properly work with us. Even when Ancelotti tried to do it, I didn't think it worked very well. Might be one of those things. We just don't have the players for it or whatever. But I wouldn't go with the 5. I personally would go with the 4-3-3, but I've got a feeling he's gonna stick to the 4-4-1-1. I think we might see Mykolenko again. Unless he's gonna, I think we'll have to see him, won't we? Really, unless he's gonna play Patterson or Kenny. on the right and do a Seamus Coleman inverted winger again. We're going to have to see Mikalenko. I don't look forward to. I hope he does play the lad, because I can't be watching Seamus Coleman so far tucked in on that left side. I saw the average positions for us in the game where he did it, and that whole left hand side, there was so much space. It was awful to look at. So I'm hoping he does play him, because we've sort of backed ourselves in a corner now where we only have one left back at the club.
Yeah, are we surprised that we've conducted terrible transfer business? We shot ourselves in the foot.
No. I mean, it's frustrating, but it's not the first time we've ended up. The prime example is we've only just signed the right back after needing one for the last 4 years. I think that's the prime example of what we do in the transfer window to ourselves.
Yeah, it's utterly ridiculous, isn't it, when you look at the way we run our transfer strategy? But I think I've seen elements of hope that it might be improving. It's just a shame about who the manager is. That makes me not get more excited about that.
Yeah, it's the sort of mental. Even if we did play a 4-3-3, it's going to be the same. It's going to be kick the ball long, esque football, and it doesn't matter who the players are. Like we were saying before when we were on about El Ghazi and Luca Dean, you can only do so much and sign so many players. But if they're gonna be still playing your system. So if your system doesn't work, there's only so much the players can do. And I mean, dare they speak out about the system, because we've seen where that leads to.
Yeah, but it's one of them. We as fans need to hammer home that it isn't good enough, because there needs to be change. If it doesn't pick up, it needs to change. I mean, it probably needs to change anyway, but if we go and lose to Norwich, then there's no hope.
Exactly, and I think he's got away with it for a couple of reasons. I think the owner doesn't want to admit that he's got this awfully wrong. So that's one reason he's got away with it. Then there was injuries, which was said. He's had injuries. Mashiri went on TalkSport and said that as a reason as well. Then you had we've not played a football game in a while in the Premier League because of COVID cancellations left, right, and centre. I think that saved them a little bit. The Arsenal win as well took a lot of pressure off. But from what I've seen and from the photos in training now, I think the majority of our bigger players are back. I think I think the majority were in the training picture, if I'm not mistaken.
It's only Tom Davis who's missing now, apparently.
Yeah, and I think he's probably out for the season now, isn't he? He's rehabbing his hamstring injury and had surgery, so he's going to be out for maybe might make it back for the last 2 games of the season. But even then, there's no point whacking him in. Then at that point, you might as well just go on and training on the summer. But yeah, so his excuses are sort of running thin. The games are easier now. I'm going to say, not that any game's easy when it's Everton or the Premier League, but we've got Norwich, then we've got Villa that I'm a lot less confident about now. But then we've got Brentford in the cup. But then we've got Newcastle and Leeds, and Newcastle I'm not sold on yet. Leeds, I think, are in a bit of a free fall at the minute. They look to be really lost. Southampton, who are a good team, but they're very hit and miss. And they're the games we need to pick up points from, because after
all those teams you're reading off, bar a few of them are better than us, though.
Yeah, which is the only problem. Aston Villa, I'd say, are better than us. Southampton have picked up a lot of form recently. I quite like Southampton; they're a good team. I'd hope we beat Newcastle. I'm not convinced on them. Leeds, I think, are a shadow of the former, so I'd hope we'd beat Leeds just because they leave themselves far too much. But they're the games now. If he doesn't get those, he can't say, the fixtures have been horrible. Because that was the other excuse going for him, that he had, a run of 8 games that were just absolute stinkers. But if he doesn't do that, we've got City. We then start facing City and Tottenham again, and we start going to the clubs around us. But we still got Leicester and Burnley to chuck in there as well. Burnley are going to be a tough game, as well as Leicester, just because of how physical they are. But Burnley are another one struggling this season. You'd hope we should. That's another one. If he loses, realistically, if he loses all these, we're in a lot of trouble, and then he does need to go before it ends up being too late. We're
Yeah, I
only,
think
I think we're only like 6 above the drop, and I don't, I don't want to be dramatic. I do think we've got too much quality about ourselves.
I
Um,
don't. I think we're
really,
well in
oh,
trouble.
the optimist in me really doesn't want to say it, but then like I look at the table and I go, we're only 2 losses and a team below us with 2 wins, and we're getting dragged right into it. And then it becomes a matter of not just quality, but then it becomes a matter of mental battles in a relegation battle as well. You need to have the right mentality and the right fight. And then I start to worry because fighting mentality isn't something I always associate with us.
Not with many of these players, and certainly not with that manager.
No, it is with the fans in terms of passion, but not with the certain players and the manager. The mentality, I think, at times has been quite poor, and not just this. There's a couple of players who've had poor mentalities for the last 4 managers that have seen them. The ones that have seen them out. So it's a position I really hope we don't get in, and to avoid it, he needs to start by beating Norwich on Saturday.
Yeah.
Need to
So,
win.
with that in mind, obviously the Norwich game. We'll wrap it up anyway. What's your prediction for the Norwich versus Everton?
I'm gonna go with 2-1. I think we'll get I hope we get 2 goals. The only reason I did want to say 2-0, but it's Everton, so I never want to bet on a clean sheet. So I think it'll be 2-1. I've got a horrible feeling that Josh Sargent will get his first Premier League goal. Got a
Yeah,
horrible. That's written in the stars, isn't it? It's very Everton-esque to have that happen.
yeah. I'm going to be very pessimistic. I'm going for 2-2. I mean, I say that, but we could even get beat. So maybe that isn't that pessimistic after all. I don't know, but
A draw
uh,
would be as disappointing for me. We shouldn't be drawing against them either. I'd be very annoyed
we
if we drew.
shouldn't. But this is Rafa Benitez we're talking about, so I'm not saying anything. I'm not
Yeah,
saying anything optimistic until it somehow happens.
that's what I mean. If we draw, I'll equally be as fuming because it's not acceptable.
Yeah, nah. But yeah, I think that's just the way I'm feeling about the club at the moment. And maybe if there was a different manager there, I'd probably be a lot more optimistic. But what can you do? Anyway, guys, obviously let us know your opinions. Let us know your predictions for the game. Get them dropped in the comments. Let us know how you're feeling going into the game. Give this video a like as well and subscribe for more content. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching on the Toffee Blues.